But Steve did not want to hear that he could not modify the motor. I mean, these were basically hot rods. This particular one is 104. There is something very sad about this particular car. More gas, more gas. Hello and welcome to Gearhead 704. I'm Matt, and today I am about to review something that I've been wanting to review for a long time. One of my favorite cars. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and show it to you. 1989 Saleen SSC. This one is a great representation, 19,000 miles of what Steve Saleen wanted to do with this car in 1989. So in 1984, Steve Saleen started building basically his own cars. A lot of people wanted to call him a tuner, but he was very adamant that that is not what he did. And so he began the first year in 84, and really he started just with suspension mods. At the time, it was difficult to navigate the EPA, and would it still have a warranty? Would dealers still honor that? Would it pass EPA emissions? All that kind of stuff. So he began just with modifications to the suspension and the look. And so we're gonna start out covering those. In 1987, that was the first year Saleen's actually got disc brakes, and this 89 of course has it, but it also has 5 lug. So 5 lug rims, disc brakes all the way around. And the brakes actually came from the SVO. I believe they're 11.2-inch rotors up front, and we should have 10.9 in the rear. But definitely 4-wheel disc, 5 lug, like I said. These are original Saleen wheels. And of course you can see the body kit, Saleen's specific body kit that we've got here. Now, something on this particular one is it is running an aftermarket hood. But other than that, it's pretty much exactly how they looked. You've got the gray stripe here, and you will notice the car is white, and there's a reason for that. The reason that the car is white is because Steve Saleen was told that white cars end up on magazines more than any other color. So that's the whole reason why he went with the white paint scheme. They would say Saleen, right? And you'd have the stripes here. You've always heard of the Saleen wing. Well, here it is, an original one. And these cars started out as LX cars. They were not GTs. He basically bought an LX hatchback and modified that from there to what you see here. Talking back about the suspension, obviously you can see the car sits lower, so he did use different springs. He also used different shocks, front and rear, get that nice stance and good handling. So the handling upgrades on this were fantastic, especially for 1989. But Steve did not want to hear that he could not modify the motor. He wanted to do the whole thing, and so he had a plan. He was going to call it the SA5. And the plan was the 25th anniversary of the Mustang was coming up in 1989, and the SA5 was going to have 306 horsepower and retain all the factory warranty on everything, fully certified by the EPA. The problem was it took a lot longer to navigate the EPA process than Steve thought. So the SA5 kind of got shelved, but we did end up with the SSC. This particular one is 104. Steve's original plan was to build 250 of these SSCs for 1989. Unfortunately, he only was able to build 161, but the results are pretty awesome, even by today's standard. What really makes the SSC different, though, is the power plant. And we're going to cover some of those items, but didn't end up with the 306 horsepower that Steve wanted, but came pretty close at 292. There also was an upgraded Borg-Warner T5 transmission, and we have yet to talk about this interior.
Perfect.
check out these seats. These are called Saleen Flow Fit seats. Got the rear seat delete right here. And you can see the same theme for the red and yellow stripes are out here as well. It's also in the seats. Look at that. I love these seats. Yeah, it came with, this is another chassis stiffening component. Came with a roll bar from Steve. Pretty awesome there. I mean, these were great road racing cars. They really were. And Steve actually signed each one. So you can see right there, Steve Saleen, number 104. Upgraded stereo system. Did retain the ashtray. Like I said, upgraded T5, and you can see right here, I'll show you this, Saleen SSC 89, number 104. Produced by Saleen Autosports. Again, he did not want to be called a tuner. He's not a tuner. He actually made a low production car. This was a new car that he was making. This one has almost 20,000 miles, 19,000 miles on it still. And you can see also there is an upgraded instrument cluster, 200 miles per hour. The stock one in 89 was the first year it went to 140, but this one said 200. But otherwise it looks very much like a Mustang sort of instrument cluster. At one point, this car was supercharged. The 89 SSCs were not like that. This car was supercharged at one point, so that's why this boost gauge is here. But the supercharger's since been removed on this car. So, you know, it's basically back to stock for what a Saleen was. Steering wheel is a custom steering wheel by Saleen as well. Pretty awesome. Still had your cruise control, but I just like the fit. It actually reminds me kind of like a DeLorean steering wheel, but I just love the look of it. This may have come out of the SVO. I am not sure actually on that, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. You know, normally you had this opening here for this compartment in most Fox bodies. Don't have that one in here. It actually goes back and it's part of the rear seat delete. So, but yeah, climate controls were basically the same. Not too many interior upgrades, but these seats are so nice. So nice. Also have Saleen specific floor mats here. And just the flow fit seats. I mean, got great side bolstering here, which you really didn't have, and it just, the feel of it. I really would love these type of seats for my car, even though my leather's in really good shape. And actually what is really awesome in the car, you can make changes to the suspension setting right here beside where you'd normally adjust the mirrors. There is 3 settings on the Monroe adjustable shock absorbers. You have normal, soft, and firm. So you can actually toggle this switch to change the suspension settings to what you wanted the car to be. I mean, talk about an adjustable suspension. Pretty amazing stuff, pretty high tech on this car. Even today, we're just now getting into where you can adjust the suspension on modern Mustangs. I think it's only been the last maybe 5 years or so. But pretty cool that you had this back in 1989 if you wanted to adjust the suspension. Going over some of the differences from the Powerplant, there were actually Saleen specific high flow heads, a Saleen specific upper and lower intake. There also was a 65 millimeter throttle body put on, as well as stainless steel headers and Dynamax mufflers. That put the horsepower up to 292, which at the time was actually quite a bit over stock. I mean, you're 225 stock, so you're talking about 70 more horsepower almost, and that was a big deal in the 80s. And one of the real reasons why it took till 1989 for these changes to be made was a lot of people thought you couldn't navigate the EPA and all the things that had to go along with that for emissions and that type of thing. But Steve wanted to do it, as I said before, you know, and so you could get these with that upgraded Powerplant that was still emission legal and contained the full factory warranty. So in 1989, this is a pretty bad car. Also had the K&N air filter back then. And another thing you might notice on this is that the polished aluminum valve covers, which is a really nice touch. Now this one is slightly modified from the AC because it's been converted to R134A. It used to be R12, and of course you can't get the Freon now anymore for that, so that's been converted there. The only thing that this car is really missing under the hood though is there was a strut tower brace right through here that was white, and the strut tower brace is missing from this car, but that's kind of the only thing really missing from the engine here. This is a pretty good example of what a stock Saleen looked like in 1989. So that pretty much covers what the car was in 1989, and more specifically to this car. Like I mentioned, the hood is not stock and there's been a change to the air conditioning system, but pretty much other than that, it's a stock car. It was once supercharged, but there is something very sad about this particular car, and that is it's being sold. This is the car. Last time I'm probably going to see the car. I've seen it here for a little while, and I always wanted to do a video review on it, and unfortunately it's being sold, but it's an awesome car, one I would definitely want to add to my collection. I mean, these were basically hot rods that you could buy right off. You know how you in 1989, this should have been the 25th anniversary car from Ford, but we didn't really get the Cobra Mustang until 1993, and even that was 235 horsepower. So this was, I guess, the equivalent to today what you could get with a Shelby GT500 or something high performance that Ford didn't offer out of the factory. But certainly Saleen Mustangs are still going strong today. But yeah, this is just an awesome car. I'm gonna be really sad to see it go. I think there's just one more thing we have to do to make sure before this car goes. I gotta take a ride in it.